Hi everybody, welcome to class today. We are going to talk about the VitaFlex technique. When I'm doing the VitaFlex technique, I use Young Living essential oils, so that's what I'm going to be using to talk about this technique. The technique is something that's been used for a long time in a lot of different ways, in a lot of different places. Different groups call it different things, but we refer to it as the VitaFlex technique and VitaFlex therapy, and it is part of what is used in the raindrop technique. So if you've ever had or done a raindrop technique, we use this VitaFlex technique on the feet. Entire feet part of the raindrop technique is the VitaFlex technique portion of it, and then the point on the spine where we flip our fingers over like this. If you've done or received the raindrop, you probably wouldn't know it if you received the raindrop, but this is part of the VitaFlex technique also. So there's a whole history around it. I'm not going to go into that in detail right now, because I think what most people are curious about is, what is it, how do I do it, and what essential oils would I use if I want to do this? So that's really what I'm going to focus on right now. If you have the essential oil desk reference book, there's a whole chapter on VitaFlex technique and raindrop and a lot of techniques that you could look at and learn about. So if you want more information, check out the Essential Oils Desk Reference book. And then VitaFlex can be done in many places in the body. Typically, it's done on the feet, on the hands, or the ear. And then, like I said, in raindrop, there is one part of it that we do on the spine. I have the charts for the feet, the hands, and the ear, which I'll show you in a little bit. But basically what it is, it's a specific way of using our fingers and our fingernails to pump essential oils in using the energy and electricity of essential oils. So there's a few things you want to do before you start, and then always remember that we're using acupressure points or acupuncture points on the feet, the hands, and the ears, or the ears. So when you're working with those points in those areas, if you look at any acupressure or acupuncture chart, you're going to have a good idea of where you can be applying oil, or when you're applying oil, what you might be impacting or working with as far as the systems of the body are concerned. So what I want to show you to start with is, whenever you're doing a VitaFlex technique, especially if you're working with somebody else, it's generally considered a good idea to start with yourself with a drop of white angelica on each of your shoulders, just to have a little bubble of protection for yourself. If you cannot use white angelica for any reason, or you don't have it, there are other essential oils that you can use that would have a similar effect, like Palo Santo. Palo Santo would be my second go-to for the same type of thing. A drop on each of your shoulders, and maybe also on your sacrum, your tailbone, the base of your spine. Just to give you a little bubble of protection, clean up your system, make sure that you're in a good place energetically and physically and emotionally in order to do this for somebody else, so that you're not taking on their stuff and you're not giving them your stuff. You have a nice, clean, healthy boundary energetically between you and the person that you're working with. So that would be white angelica, one drop on each shoulder, or Palo Santo, one drop on each shoulder, and maybe also your tailbone. So white angelica or Palo Santo would be my two go-tos. There are others that you can use, any of them that you find emotional balancing and energetic balancing and have a protective quality to them can be really helpful. So what I want to share with you is how to get an oil out of the bottle, because a lot of people don't quite understand this. And it's going to be hard to see here, but if you look, this right here, this plastic thing at the top of all of the bottles is called an Orifice Reducer. What this does is it slows down the oils from coming out so they don't pour out. If you didn't have this, it would be very hard to get one drop at a time. So if you open a bottle and look in at the Orifice Reducer, there's going to be a bigger hole in the middle. And then if you look, there's an indentation that goes around, a ring that goes around. And in that ring is a smaller hole, or possibly 4 smaller holes, depending on the type of Orifice Reducer you have and the type of oil you have. The big hole generally is not where the oil comes out. It's where the air goes in. The oil comes out the little tiny hole that's inside the indentation. So when you're pouring an essential oil from the bottle, you don't really want to turn it all the way upside down, because that doesn't allow the air to come in the big hole and the oil to come out. It creates a suction. So unless you're almost out of oil, don't turn it straight upside down. You want to leave it at an angle so that air can come in the big hole and the oil can come out the little hole that's around the side. If you want, you can look at your bottle and see if you can find where that hole is. So on mine, I have one, it's right here. So if I wanted to, I could take a Sharpie and like draw an arrow on the label here, so I always know where that hole is. So anytime I pick up my White Angelica, I just look at the label. Okay, that's where the hole is. I don't have to find it. If you don't have the visual strength to find it, or you don't want to, you can simply tip the bottle over and then twist. And as you twist, it will start to build up where the drop's going to come out as you twist that around. So getting the oil out of the bottle, I know a lot of people get confused about this. It's not a hard thing, but until you know, it's confusing. So Gary Young would always say it's called a raindrop, not a rain shake. So you don't need to shake the oil out of the bottle. See, a lot of people do that. It's okay to shake the oil out of the bottle. But part of the reason that you want to drop an oil out of the bottle is because you want to have your hand or the body part of the person that you're working with at least 6 inches away from where the oil is going to come out of the bottle. This is because you want the oil, that drop that's coming out of the bottle, to travel through your energy system to land into your hand. So this is going to start already. The vibration of the oil, energetic frequency of the oil in this bottle is not the same as the energetic frequency of my body. My body's setting off an energetic frequency all the time. It's natural, we do it, it's supposed to happen, it's a good thing, and we want and like that. And we want and like that to be as good and strong and helpful and supportive as it can be. So I'm setting off an energy frequency. I want that to work well with the oil that's coming out. So about 6 inches above at least, and then you're just going to hold the bottle where that oil is coming out or turn it, and here comes my little drop. So some oils are thicker than others, so they're going to come out slower, and some oils are thinner than others, they're going to come out faster. It has nothing to do with the quality in general if you're using a consistent company like Young Living. What it has to do with is the viscosity of the oil from the plant it comes from, or from what it's mixed with if it's a blend, the plants that it comes from if it's a blend. So White Angelica tends to come out slow. Cypress, for example, tends to come out pretty fast. My frankincense, it comes out really fast. I don't know if that's because it's thin or that's because it needs it and it's ready, but it comes out really fast. So once the oil lands in your hand, it's already come through your energy system. You're already starting to attune to it a little bit differently. It's in my hand. Then I'm going to take my fingers from my other hand and run a clockwise circle 3 times to activate the oil. So it's already in my palm, activating in my palm. It's in my fingers, activating in my fingers. It's working with my system. Even if I'm going to use this on somebody else, with my intention of this being for somebody else, it's already starting to work in that direction. So 3 times in a circle clockwise activates the oil. You can do 6, but 3 is generally enough. And then place it wherever it is that you're going to place it. So I didn't intend to use this one, but apparently it's going on my shoulders today. So that's how you would put an oil on. Even if you were going to drop it onto somebody's foot or onto somebody's back, you would do the same thing. Drop it from about 6 inches above, let it fall out naturally so that it can go through their energy system, and then 3 clockwise circle to activate it, and then allow that to move through their system or work with their system. So that's how you get the oil out of the bottle and how that part of it works. So like I said, White Angelica, a good one for the shoulders to start, and the tailbone. Palo Santo, a good second place for that. And then anytime, that's for anytime you're going to be working with somebody else. It's also good to do for yourself too, just in general. Right now, I'm still in shelter in place, I should say. A lot of the country's not, but I am, because I live in a county that we're still completely shut down for. So there's nobody around me that I have to do that. So if I were going to do the VitaFlex technique for me on my own feet, I wouldn't necessarily need to do that. It's just something to do if it feels right. Okay, so those are the basics. What I want to show you is the actual technique that you use with your hands. And then we're going to go and I'm going to show you the charts and where all these points are and how to put it all together. So you know how to get the oil out, you know how to activate it, you know what it's doing. The next piece I want to teach you is the technique. So we're going to pretend like this is my foot, or we're going to do it on my hand here, and you can do the same thing. You don't have to have an oil yet. What we're going to do is we're going to start with the pads of your fingers on your hand. And all you're going to do is you're going to pump, so to your fingertips and then over to your nail bed, right? So you're starting on the pads, tips, nail bed. And you want to do that in a fluid motion. So you don't want to jerk it. You don't want to go in 3 steps, but those are the 3 points that you want to touch. So just let it go all the way over. And then as you come back, you scoot up a little bit more. So starting low on your hand, pump, 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 pump. So you want to start on the pad. Make sure you go all the way up over your fingertip and fingernail and into your nail bed flat, like that. Obviously, you don't want to have daggers for fingernails if you're going to do VitaFlex. Having your nails trimmed and filed and not super, super sharp would be really nice. This isn't acupuncture. This is not what we want to do here. If you have a little bit of nail, it's okay. Just make sure that you are going over the tip of your nail. So don't take your fingers off. You want to keep contact over the tip of your nail and landing on your nail bed in a smooth motion. And then as you come back, you just slide your hand up and move up and up and up, okay? So whether you're doing this on yourself or somebody else, that's the basic move that you do. If you can keep all 4 of your fingers here and do them all at the same time, you're going to naturally hit more of the acupressure points, the VitaFlex points on the body part that you're doing it on. If you anchor your thumb on the other side, so the other side of the foot, which I'll show you in a minute, or the hand, when you do this, you make it a little bit more force, a little bit more leverage for yourself. So try it right now with your thumb up and see what that feels like. And then put your thumb down so you're actually holding on. Don't have to grip, but anchor, and then try it and see how different that feels. You feel that difference? It's a pretty big difference if you're really tuned in. So when I'm doing this with somebody else, I always anchor my finger down because I don't want to start going so fast that my hand is flying off and I'm breaking contact. Don't want to break contact, want to keep contact on. So even if this comes off for a second, I still have contact on the thumb here. It feels good for other people, lets other people know where they're at, and it's calming to the nervous system. Same for you, even if you're doing this on yourself. So you can leave your thumb off or anchor and have that constant contact placement of your thumb on the other side. Both of those are fine. If you're doing this on the spine in the raindrop technique, this is the part where we take the thumbs on either side of the spine. We start with the thumb pads, and then we flip over and onto our fingernail beds. So all the way over like this. And then you come up the spine like this. If you've done raindrop technique, that should be familiar to you as a step. If you haven't, that's okay. Just know that that's the VitaFlex technique part of it. We don't want to do that with all of our fingers. It would be really complicated and we'd be crashing our knuckles into each other. So thumb walking is what it's called, but it's part of the VitaFlex. So that's the technique. The technique is taking your finger on or off, thumb pads, and then rolling over to your fingernail bed, any part where you're doing it. Okay, now I'm going to show you the charts. So I'm going to share my screen. Give me just a moment. All right, so here is the VitaFlex foot chart. You can find this chart online. You can find this chart in a whole bunch of books. It is kind of all over the place. It's a very useful, helpful chart. It is kind of basic as far as acupressure charts are concerned, because we don't need to know the exact spots, the exact dot. We need to know the territory. And when you're doing this on a person's foot or hand or ear, the territory is what matters, because you're going to have an essential oil on your hand as well. So your intention, the oil itself, and the technique are all going to go together. We're not using the tip of a needle. We're using our entire finger pad. So territory is good enough. So if you look at the top of the foot at the toes, we have the brain and two of the glands in the brain, the pineal and pituitary gland in the big toe. We also have the eyes on the next two toes and the ears on the outside two toes. On the where the toes come in and attach to the feet are basically the sinuses. Okay, I'm going to switch to the hand point and show you the same thing on the hands, and then we'll come back. Let me see if I can get it to go. Hang on a second, sorry. There we go, hands. So hands, similar. On the thumb, we have the brain, the pineal and pituitary gland. We have the eyes on the tips of the first two fingers, the ears on the tips of the outer two fingers, and then sinuses at the base of the fingers where the hands, the finger and the hands come together. So these are pretty common places that people might want to use an essential oil, but you wouldn't want to put an essential oil in your eyes. You wouldn't want to put an essential oil in your ears. And it's kind of hard to get an essential oil into your sinuses if they're clogged and you can't breathe and smell anyway. So using these points on the fingers and the feet, the toes, can be really helpful in supporting that part of the body. If you got something going on with your eyes, you want a little extra eye support, whatever eye support oils that you're going to use, put them on your toes and your fingers in these spots. You can use the VitaFlex technique, that pumping technique, to help activate it and get it into the system a little bit more. Got something going on with your ears, you can do the same thing. So I'm going to pause sharing so that I can show you what that looks like on my hand. We're just going to keep flipping back and forth. So if I had an oil that I was going to use to support my eye health, I would put it in my hand, 3 circles around to activate it, and then I would put it on my fingertips here, and then just pump. I'm doing that technique, finger pads all the way over to fingernails. And that's going to help pump it into the system and activate it through those channels. Something on the ears, same thing here. You can do the same thing and pump, okay? Same thing with the toes. It's not any different. If you've got something going on where you need some mental support, some mental clarity, just anything brain related, anything endocrine related, where it's pituitary, pineal, anything like that, thumb and big toe are the places to go. So look at how big my thumb is, okay, how much territory that covers. And then look at how big my big toe is, how much territory that covers. If I want to focus on head brain stuff, which of these two do you think would cover more territory? Probably my toe. I have a bigger toe than I have big finger. If I wanted to do eyes and ears, which would cover more territory? Depends. But if I want to hit sinuses, which is going to cover more territory? Tends to be my hand, because I have these points, and then as you hit these points here, right here, right here, right here, you've also got the entire way up the sides of the finger. Okay, so when you're thinking about where you're going to do the technique, where you're going to use your oils, when you're using the acupuncture points, VitaFlex charts, you can also think about how much territory can I cover in that space. Do I want it to be really concentrated? If I want it to be concentrated, I want a bigger space because I can get closer to the specific spot. If I want it to be super general, I can use a smaller space, like my finger or my ear, because there's just gonna be a lot to cover. So look at how big my ear is, my tiny little ear, right? My entire body is mapped out in these points on my ear, same as it's mapped out on my hand, let's do this hand, same as it's mapped out on my foot. So you can see the size difference, and no, I can't get my foot by my ear. You can see the size difference between those 3 different places. This is gonna be really funny being recorded, man. Anyway, you can see those different sizes on those 3 different places. So you get to think about and play with, how am I gonna put this together? What will work for me putting this together, and what will work best for the person I'm working with? If you have somebody that has really a lot of pain or sensitive on their feet and you just can't get there, don't go there, use their hand. You got the whole thing here, or you've got their ear. Ear would be way more general because unless you're an acupuncturist and you're using that little needle, it's really hard to get the exact spot. But that's also a really cool thing because you don't have to get the exact spot. You got the whole thing right here, whole thing. So massaging your ears super helpful for your immune system, all of your body systems. It could be like taking a vitamin, just supporting everything. I'm a big proponent of massaging your ears. I'm like all of it, the little piece here, all of it. And here's why. I'm going to share again, and I'm going to share the chart and show you the ear. So here's the ear chart. Everything in the body that you can map out from the hand or from the foot is also in the ear chart. And it kind of wraps around. So if you're massaging your ears every day, if you're doing these types of things every day, that can be really helpful and healthy. If you're going to use an essential oil on your ear, you want to use it on your ear, not in your ear. And remember, this is sensitive material, sensitive tissue here. So you probably aren't going to want to put a full drop of oregano directly on your ear. Ow. You're going to want to dilute that. You're going to want to make it more calm with a carrier oil or something else if you're using that oil. Or choose an oil that is safe for, doesn't have so much contact sensitivity. So just be aware of what you're doing. But all of it mapped out into the ear, just like all of it maps out onto the hands and then onto the feet. Okay, so going back to the feet, we also have the entire spine mapped out from, if you look at your arches, if you were able to flip your feet over, basically from where your heel turns into your arch, all the way up to your big toe, is the map of your spine. That's where your spine maps out. You have, if you come in at the top of your heel, you have your digestive tract, and it's split in half. So your left half of your digestive tract is on your left foot. Your right half of the digestive tract is on your right foot. For most people. We're not going to talk about the exceptions. You have your pancreas, your spleen, your liver, your gallbladder, all of that maps out onto your foot, and then your lungs up closer to the ball of your feet. And then, so you have organs, you have soft tissue, and then you also have some of the bones of the spine. You can find your shoulder blades, where the bone on your small toe is, the lateral side, the outside, underneath your small toe would be map out to your shoulders. So if you were to press and massage in that area and find some tension there, and you massage it for a while, guess what? Your shoulders might get a little bit of relief. So if you got something going on in your shoulder and you can't like get there yourself, work on your foot, put an oil on your foot and go for it. And then the reproductive organ for men and women is on the top of the foot, on the ankles, the outside of the foot by the ankles. Shoulder point also translates to the top of the foot. So we have the shoulder point on the bottom, and the same point goes straight through on the top of the foot. And then bronchial tubes, I don't have a top of foot picture, but the bronchial tubes along the lungs also translate on the top of the foot under the toes, where the toes come together. So same thing basically on the hand. On the hand, on the thumb side is where it tracks the spine. So this would be the equivalent of the base of your toe, base of your heel, top of your heel up to the base of your toe. It's a much smaller area. Look at how much is covered in that on your spine, on your hand versus on your foot. So if you have something spine related that you want to support, probably good idea to do it on your foot because it covers more territory so you can get more specific. And then your digestive tract is in the palm of your hand, just like it is in the palm of your foot. Left half on the left hand, right half on the right hand. And then you have your organs on your hand come more on the pinky side. So that hopefully makes a little bit of sense to you. And then switching back to me, I'm going to show you on my own foot. So in case you're not sure what I'm talking about and you need to see it on a foot, my foot, base of spine right about here, neck here. So if you've got spine problems, spine stuff that you want to support, on your hand, it's from here to here, much smaller space. On your foot, much bigger. So if you can, use your foot. If somebody's got a lot of pain and they can't do that or they're not flexible to get there, go ahead and use the hand. That's okay. It's a good place to start. What you might notice is that they get some relief for the place that you're putting it and their foot from here because of the part that's reflected in the organs there. So when you're doing the VitaFlex technique on your foot, I'm going to grab an oil. You could use the raindrop technique oils if you want to. You don't have to. Raindrop technique is another technique that I was saying in the beginning. You use the VitaFlex technique on the foot along the spine for 9 oils, and then you go up and work through the spine and do some other things with the technique. I'm not teaching that technique right now, but I'm going to show you that first part of the technique that you do on the foot. The oils that you can use for raindrop vary. The standard oils are Valor, thyme, oregano, cypress, wintergreen, basil, peppermint, marjoram, and aromaceas. And then you finish off with Valor again. Valor goes on both sides, begins and ends a raindrop technique because it's a very balancing oil. You want to balance on both ends. There are a lot of oils that you can substitute and switch out if you don't have that oil or you don't respond well to it or you need something else specific. And you can also add other oils in. When you're doing VitaFlex technique, you can really use any oil you want. So if you're having a bit of discomfort today because you overdid it in the yard yesterday, you might want to grab your wintergreen. Wintergreen's good for that. Or maybe Deep Relief, or Idaho Blue Spruce, or Black Spruce, Northern Lights Black Spruce. Any of those oils, any oil that you would normally use on an area of your body, whether you can reach it or not, you can put on your feet. So I'm going to, for whatever reason, use oregano. It's the one that jumped out to me today. So I invite you to grab an oil, whatever oil you have that you want to use on your feet, and I'm going to have you do this too. Go ahead and take the top off. If you can see where the little drop hole is, find it. If not, that's okay. Just twirl the bottle as you hold it. Hold your hand out, about 6 inches above. You're going to drip a drop. And if more than one drop comes out, that is okay. You probably need it. So once you've got your drop on your hand, you're going to take your other hand and 3 circles to activate it. 1, 2, 3. Okay. Now I've got my oil on my fingers and my hand. And I'm going to take my foot. You don't have to lift your foot up like this. Just take your foot however you can get to it. And what you're going to do is you're going to start at the bottom and you're going to do the VitaFlex pump. Okay, fingertips, nail, nail bed. Fingertips, nail, nail bed. Don't stop. Just let it flow and then slide up as you go. And once you get to the top, it's a good idea to do a little pinch and flip at the top because that's going to activate all of the organs, the glands in your brain and everything else in your brain, which we always want to have supported and activated. And then come back, do 3 more circles in the hand that's holding the oil, and then do it again. Boom, boom, boom. Go as fast as feels right for you, all the way up, and then a little pinch and flip at the top. There you go. And then you can do it again. 3 more, and then up. So the reason that we do this 3 times, one of the reasons we do this 3 times is because, one, I'm not an acupuncturist and I'm not an acupressurist and I haven't studied all the points and I don't know where they're at or how to find them at a really precise level. So if I'm a little bit off because I'm too far on the inside on my first pass, chances are good that I'm going to get to it or closer to it on the second pass. There's also over 5,200 points in the true VitaFlex, the whole VitaFlex thing. Over 5,200 points that you use or can use in VitaFlex, which is more than I understand many acupuncturists learn. We don't need to know all of them. That's the beauty of it. We get as much as we can in the places that we can, and then we go on. So once you've done that on one foot, you're going to take your same oil in your other hand, get yourself a drip, 6 inches or more away, 3 circles, and then we're going to do the same thing on the other foot because we don't want to do half of our spine and not the other half. That's kind of not comfortable. It would leave you feeling possibly unbalanced. Not something we really want to do. Okay, don't want to feel unbalanced. So get the other half. If you're doing something with your digestive system, you could do the same thing, except in addition to doing the spine, or maybe instead of doing the spine, you would want to do your digestive points. So your digestive points would be this part of your body. when you think about your digestive tract, generally in the large intestines, we think about them coming up from about our hip, our front hip bone, up on the right, across, and then down on the left. And that's how we want to massage if we want to keep things flowing. The same is the case on your feet. So you want to start on your right foot and come up and across. And you would come up and across a few times for digestive support, right? And then you would finish it off on your left foot, across and down, across and down, across and down. So you can use Digize, you can use ginger, you can use any of the digestive peppermint, digestive supporting oils in these areas to help get things flowing in the way that you need to. Of course, if you need to slow things down, you want to go in the opposite direction. But to keep things flowing, keep things going in the direction they need to, up on the right, across the top, and down on the left. So you're making a circle. I don't know if sometimes Zoom mirrors, so I don't want to say it's like this, but it's up on the right, cross, and down on the left. If you've got something endocrine related, so hormonal balancing things that we all need, because everybody has hormones and we love them, except that when we don't. There are many points that you can use for hormone support. So I'm going to share the screen again so you can see where the points are on the foot. And I don't know if you can see my cursor, but if you look at the big toe, starting at the top of the head, we have the pineal and pituitary gland. And then if you come down to the base of the toe, a little bit inside where it gets closer to the second toe, you have the thyroid gland, and the parathyroid goes there too. Both sides, thyroid, parathyroid, okay? And then you come down and we have our adrenals. Adrenals sit on top of our kidneys, okay? So about middle of the foot, on the way down if you ignore the toes. And then we have the uterus, ovaries, prostate, and testes, and that would be on the inside and outside of the ankles. So on the inside of the ankles would be the prostate and uterus, if you're a male or female, and the outside of the ankles would be the uterus or the testes. The left is for the left side, the right is for the right side, so you want to pay attention to both of those. All right, so if you're doing something hormone supporting, hormone related, it would be a good idea to hit all of those spots to support all of the glands that are in the endocrine system, right? So you can basically do that VitaFlex point up the middle, the inside of your foot where your arch is, all the way up, including your toe, just a little bit more in from where we did it. If we were focused on spine, it would be closer to the outside of the medial side, the outside of the inside. And if you're focusing on the glands, it would be just a little bit closer in, all the way up, and then get your ankles. All right, so I'm gonna stop sharing. So basically that's what you're doing. That is VitaFlex. You can do it on your hand or the hand of the person you're working with. You can do it on your ear. VitaFlex on your ear is a little bit more tricky to do. It's a little bit more tricky to do on another person as well, because that's just awkward. When I'm working on my ear, I don't tend to do the VitaFlex part. I tend to just massage my ear, happen to have oil on my hand, massage my ear in all directions, Your ears are supposed to be fairly fluid and not floppy, but you can maneuver and manipulate them. If there's areas where it catches, where it gets stiff, that might be someplace to work a little bit in and loosen up. And then don't forget, please remember this little part of your ear right here. Let me show you the ear chart again. So this little part of your ear right here, right? We have a lot of things going on right there. Heart, larynx, pharynx, adrenal glands, blood pressure support, hunger, all of those wonderful things that we need to work with. Thirst, hunger, blood pressure support. This little part of your ear, where a lot of us have earrings, there's a lot of things that are important through there. You think of the other place that a lot of us have earrings, tonsils, but also eyes and ears. Eyes and ears, this part of the ear. Hearing and vision. So one question came up, what is the parathyroid? The parathyroid is one of the glands of the endocrine system. It sits behind the thyroid and it kind of like cups around it. So we have the thyroid here and then the parathyroid kind of holds around it. So it is a separate gland, but it works with it. And it's in that same area, hugs around it. So a lot of people that have things going on with the thyroid or want that support want to also support the parathyroid. Yeah. All right. So that's basically the gist of it. How to get the oil out of the bottle, how to activate it, how it moves through your system, how to do the VitaFlex technique, where it all maps out on your feet, hands, and ears. That's a really basic level of it. Now, if you want to start adding awareness and adding information of it, you can start looking at the essential oils that you have or you might want to use, and then think about where you would want to place them on your body. So, for example, if I have a little bit of brain power and I'm not sure where to use brain power because I don't know what that oil is good for, let's first of all look at the label, look at the name. Brain power probably has something to do with my brain. So if I was going to use brain power and I was going to use it on a VitaFlex somewhere other than my head, where would I put it? Where would I put it? Thumb or big toe? Thumb or big toe, right? Yes. Clarity, same thing. You want mental clarity? Thumb or big toe. I talked about digest. What if I have like, it was too much noise. I went to a concert, you know, a long time ago when we could do that. And there was too much noise and my ears are just like, ooh, there's something going on. Where would I want to put that if I'm not putting it in my ears? Anybody remember? Yep. 2 outside fingers or 2 outside toes. Little toe and second little toe or finger. Little toe, second little toe. These 2 ears on both sides. Both sides. You want to make sure you get both sides because you want to have both. So fingers and toes. And if I have something eyes, it would be here. Sinuses, right? And then as you put it here for sinuses, you can also then drag the oils up the sides of the fingers or the sides of the toes to support that sinus flow throughout this whole area. All right, so I hope this information was helpful for you. I hope that you all go out and start playing around with the VitaFlex technique itself. Make sure you don't have your nails too long. Try it with yourself, try it on your hands and your feet, try it on other people. If somebody is getting ticklish when you're doing this on their feet, first of all, make sure you're grounded and you're in your feet. Anchor your thumb down and then use just a little bit more pressure. So it's not like that, I'm barely touching, too ticklish. Make it a little bit more pressure and that might help take out some of the tickle. The other thing you can do is rub the oil on first. After you've activated, rub it on that area first so that their body already starts recognizing and attuning to the energy of the oil, and then come back and do the pump to help support that coming in. It's a good way to help get that through the system. If you have questions, I'd love for you to reach out to me, ask me any questions you have. I'm always happy to talk about them, and I'm glad that you joined me today. So I've stopped recording. I have not stopped recording. I did stop recording, but it didn't stop.